Doing good is good for business. As the world's largest B Corp, Danone North America is committed to doing good for the world and for your business. With the brands customers love like International Delight, Oikos, Silk, Horizon Organic, and many others. Learn more at DanoneAwayFromHome.com. Welcome back to another episode of Fast Casual Nation, the podcast. Listen, we are going to continue to explore what's happening in the fast casual space. And one of the things that we're kind of diving into is the whole concept of loyalty. Now, as you guys know, trying to build a customer database, whether it's through email or social media or all that kind of stuff, it's been kind of the saving grace of many brands that have kind of made it through and dealing with this COVID-19 crisis. So we're going to get a chance today to talk to the Chief Operating Officer, David Malinowski of course, Vitality Bowls. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be joining you.
Yeah, it's always funny because we have your stuff right behind me, so it's not like it's a secret who we're going to be talking to. I've got the beautiful Vitality Bowl right here.
That's it.
So let's get into a little bit about Vitality Bowl. You guys, of course, fairly new fast casual concept in the sense of growth. Tell me where you guys are right now. What's your current unit count? How are you guys planning to kind of grow during this period of time?
Sure. So obviously we started franchising back in 2014. Currently we're at 78 open stores. We actually have our team going to be opening another 2 units in the next 2 weeks, one in Seattle and the other one down in McKinney, Texas. So throughout this, obviously COVID, kind of shook things up very quickly, but we were able to get our feet under the ground rather quickly as well, and able to continue to start growing stores. And that's one of the things that we've been pushing our franchisees is, these are the times where, you really get the fighters that dig in and are able to continue to grow. And this is a time to actually prosper. You hear it from all the millionaires, Mark Cuban, everyone, this is a time to strike is, when opportunity is there. And as being a healthy eatery, we find, especially with COVID, a lot of people are looking for that extra wellness. So we're at 78 locations now. We have quite a few we're trying to get open, but obviously we're doing it the right way in 2020, making sure that we're changing the model or more so morphing it for COVID-19. But with growth, we're brought development back in-house. We're still going out, talking to all the brokers, still trying to get out there. I know we're talking to other people. We're about to sign another 3-unit deal in the next few days or so. So we're basically just doing what we've done, but also pivoting on the health and wellness of the brand that really kind of entails to what's going on in this country with everything and the scarce of COVID-19.
Yeah. For sure. So David, okay, so you guys have continued to grow during this phase. I'm kind of curious, have you shifted your unit economics, the model of how you select real estate, that whole process? Because many brands, especially in the franchising space, have kind of pulled back a little bit because they're trying to figure out and kind of assess whether or not the unit prototype that they currently have in place is going to work going forward. How have you guys addressed that?
So it's kind of sometimes things almost just fall into place the way they do. Before COVID-19 even hit, we actually started going into an economic efficiency model with the current stores we do have, and we were already about to start scaling down. So we were looking from when we had stores that would be upwards of 1,700 square feet to 1,500 to now looking into the 1,000 to the 1,200 being the bread and butter. So we were actually already lucky enough looking into that, but now we're really capitalizing and taking it to the next level and seeing how we can maximize the space. Because obviously we're seeing with dining, dining in is obviously not as popular as an avenue of dining as it used to be. So we've been doing that, turning that in. Obviously, we've been reworking some of the kitchens and the dining spaces to lend for more grab and go. But it's all we're working as we're doing and trying to do it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, were your businesses already moving toward, I guess, in terms of sales mix, already moving heavily towards takeout and delivery, catering, et cetera? Or did you have a lot of dine-in pre-COVID?
More or less, to be honest with you, we generally did have a lot of takeout a lot of delivery. We did have a decent amount of dine-in, but a lot of our customers they come in, early in the morning, grabbing a bite to eat
Right.
when they're taking the kids to school, or, post-workout coming in for their acai bowl or their smoothie. So they're in a rush to get back. And then obviously during lunchtime, people have a very limited window, which, a lot of our bulk of the business is during lunch, where they don't have much time to sit in and dine in. So we
Yeah.
realized we had to really shrink down that percentage of the dining in seats and the occupancy.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so you guys are kind of a healthy or good for you brand. When you look at something that like a pandemic that's hitting our society, eating healthy and especially something that can kind of boost your immune system and things of that nature, kind of go hand in hand with brands like yours. Have you seen a significant lift in terms of people adopting what you guys are doing from a menu standpoint?
Sure. I wouldn't say there's a significant lift, but there's definitely a lift in sales. I know talking to franchisees and even our corporate locations, we're getting new regulars that we haven't seen that would normally come in. So
Right.
definitely seeing some new faces. The hardest thing, to be honest with you, is before this happened, we were doing a lot of local store marketing, pounding the pavement, getting the franchisees out there and shaking hands with business owners. And right as that happened, this obviously isn't the time, especially to be shaking hands with people. So now we're relying on a lot of digital, social media, and what we'll get into is obviously our loyalty punch app.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So menu trends definitely on the rise here in terms of the categories that we've seen. Healthy brands. We just pulled some data from Foodable Labs, seeing a 13% rise on year over year on the top 50 fast casual concepts, which to me was still surprising. We were seeing plus double-digit numbers, especially during this period of time. Pizza was ironically one of the highest performers we've seen. Well, Papa John's just reported they were seeing 30% year-over-year sales increase, but on average, the top 50 in the pizza category, the polar opposite of healthy eating, is pegging in at around 27%. Again, that's kind of comfort food, those kind of things.
Exactly.
I'm kind of curious, when you look at the consumer trends that are driving this, do you feel like this is just something that could be short-lived, or do you think we're seeing consumer trends starting to shift in terms of our habits around eating out or eating in?
I think it's a multitude of things. I think we're definitely seeing the trend shift. I think especially with COVID, and I see those numbers with pizza and that comfort food and all the other fast food available. I think that's just a big portion to, you know, people being efficiently economic with their pockets, making sure they're trying
Right.
to get that meal, something that's very quick. Um, but I think people are also in the back of the mind are starting to think about, how can I eat healthier? How can I prevent myself or my family getting sick? They're seeing, the longevity of life. And I think COVID-19 really was a pretty big, life check for a lot of people to see that, we're not, able, there's certain things we can't control. So we have to actually take into our own hands to make sure we take care of our bodies as best as possible. But one of the other things I also see out there is, they did a study about the meat manufacturing, and from this last year, the meat manufacturing has actually gone down. So I think there's definitely a huge shift, especially now with everyone doing vegan, the non-meat products that are coming out. I think there's going to be a huge shift, and we're just at the tip of the iceberg here.
Yeah. Well, there are trends that are showing, some movement toward plant-based, vegan-based. But it's still very small in terms of the
Sure.
overall market size. Granted, now, but then again, there's not that many companies out there that are really offering, heavy plant-based. Even though that we do have plant-based hitting in. If you looked at the top 100 fast casual operators, I'd say 75% of them offer something in there that is kind of geared toward plant-based. So there are some tidal movements there, but it is a slow-moving pace. However, the better for you category has been around a while. I mean, you can go back to companies like Freshie, who kind of were one of the early pioneers on moving into this space, and they've obviously got into I think the double hundreds now in terms of their unit counts. So there is demand, and I definitely see that moving. When you look at, let's kind of break over into the consumer side, because the biggest question I see and talk with a lot of fast casual operators is they're having to move from what was in-store dining. You had a certain percentage of your sales mix coming in the store. You didn't really have to market to those people other than give them a really good experience so they came back.
Sure.
Now, you have to use and lean on a lot of digital tools to kind of bridge that gap to get those people to return. I'm curious, are you seeing any kind of trends that are, from a technology standpoint, that are helping you bolster, whether it's social, email, or loyalty programs, and what's working for you guys?
So obviously, we put a focus back on the digital, like I was just talking about. Had a huge push on the local store marketing, then quickly shifted right back to digital. So obviously, the Instagram, Facebook, we're there doing the boosting. But what's really been the integral tool was, and always has been, is our loyalty app. And especially during COVID, we were probably having a system-wide average of about 30% participation. So about 30% of our sales were from our loyalty members throughout the whole system.
Wow.
Throughout COVID, now we're seeing some of our top stores all the way up until like a 55% participation rate. And what we're seeing is that's a combination of having the actual retained loyalty members that are coming back, and on top of that, growing it. And we really just focus on making sure we're getting the messaging through that app, giving them the deals, or maybe the bundles we're offering. I know we did a 3 bowls for $30, which was a very successful bundle because we figured we wanted to do that, especially for the families. Get something out there where it's affordable for the families, and cater a lunch or a dinner all in one shot. So the loyalty app has just been our biggest way to get to everyone and get the outreach and get everyone coming back into the stores.
I've seen a lot of new innovations in the loyalty side of things where the mobile devices themselves start to really kind of intersect with the point of sale. They start to intersect with your email connectivity, your social media connectivity, to where a user can really kind of touch points on all engines of what the brand is using in terms of getting their message out there. Do you see, from a loyalty standpoint, because I know Facebook is, we're going to be on with Facebook here on the show soon, right. And even they are talking about trying to integrate a lot of this stuff into social platforms. Is this something that you see big social platforms, whether it's a Google, a Facebook, a Twitter, a LinkedIn, someone like that who has all of this customer data and the ability to maybe plug into a brand, eventually offering up services and kind of moving where a lot of these independent technology companies have kind of grown the market? Do you see the big guys coming in and making a play for this, I guess is the question?
I mean, to be honest with you, it's probably inevitable. I mean, that's what all these big companies have done. I mean, that's how Facebook has made their money, is it's basically ad driven and buying information and having information. And that's the one thing, we've always gone back and forth, especially with the delivery apps, is we always have wanted to own our customers. We didn't want, the third party delivery apps to have their information to sell to someone else. So it's always kind of been the tricky thing, it's kind of like the plus and the negatives you have, and you have to weigh them out. But I think it's almost inevitable for them to actually get involved and start capturing that information. I mean, you look at any time you put anything on your phone nowadays, you're agreeing to them getting your information, whatever user end agreement you have to agree to. Yeah. So I think we're in those times where, unfortunately it will happen. I'm just hoping when we do that, or it does happen, that there is some way that they do share the information with the people who are getting it in the beginning. That way we can still capitalize on our loyal guests as well. Interesting.
Don't fall for it, David.
Yeah, I know. I know.
This is another rabbit down the rabbit hole that a lot of operators are, in some cases, kind of linked into this. I think you guys are on the right point. Own the data. If you use the platforms, great. That's awesome. But you should own the customer that's engaging with you from the point of engagement. Now, hey, they own the customer or they own the user to the extent of you trying to reach them. If you don't reach them, okay, no big deal. No harm, no foul. But if you reach them and they like what you're doing and they become a customer, I think it's just, you're equally should be. That's why I still just can't agree with what Uber's doing in terms of not sharing data, especially in times like this, because the opportunity here for growing that metric, especially delivery, is so huge that the market, if they would just, I think, share with some of these really savvy, technology-driven, fast casual, full service, even QSR brands, I think Uber would actually grow their business more
I
so
agree.
than what they're seeing right now. So hopefully, Uber, if you're out there listening, the idea is we want to share the wealth here on data and information, because I think that's, at the end of the day, that's going to be what makes it helps us get out of this situation we're in right now. David,
Couldn't
let's
agree
talk a
more.
little bit about let's talk a little bit about kind of the trends moving forward. So we are seeing dark kitchens, virtual brands, ghost kitchens, whatever term you want to call them, starting to develop, especially in the fast casual sector. I want to get your thoughts on, do you feel like this is something that is going to make it and be a long-term strategy for brands like yours?
We've looked into it. I know there was one in San Francisco where there was a ghost kitchen, and I've had a few companies actually reach out about these. And I think the main way that these do work, to be honest with you, is having some type of footprint in the community.
Yeah,
Especially for us, obviously we're a national brand. We are in 17 states, coast to coast, California all the way to New York. So we do have a significant footprint. But for us to make, if we were even to go into have a ghost kitchen, we would have to have some type of name recognition there
yeah,
to really support it. Um, I think there are some things such as, common foods, pizza, burgers, that maybe would have a better chance. But for us in the health sector and healthy eating, where, sometimes it does take a little more information to know what you're eating, what the health benefits are. There's
yeah.
definitely has to be some recognition of the menu and the brand itself for it to be supported.
Right. Well, I think you're right. In a scenario like yours where you are tuned in so tightly with your product, Vitality Bowls is kind of the brand, but also the product. You kind of need that reference for that consumer to really kind of connect. However, I'm kind of curious, when you look at second tier, third tier markets, so a tier of market that maybe you wouldn't normally go into, would this be maybe a potential to enter markets like that, especially in these food deserts and some of these Midwestern towns that could really use a lot of fast casual chains, but they just don't have access to them?
Sure. I mean, there's always an opportunity. It's something to look into. And I think for us, it would also be the same way we look at our real estate, looking at the demographics, actually looking about, how people eat around there. Because that's the number
Right.
one thing too, is looking about how many gyms are in the area, how serious people are about the health. Just by looking at a community, you can really tell where this would fit. But there's always opportunity, like I said, and it's never not on the table. I always have conversations with people about these cloud kitchens or these ghost
Yeah.
kitchens, and we're always going back and forth. I mean, if the right fit does come up, we're always willing to try something new.
Interesting. All right, so David, we're going to run through some technology topics here, and I want to kind of give me a ranking, so to speak, of where you think the fast casual sector, in terms of brand leaders, should be focused on in terms of kind of moving forward. Now that we kind of know the status quo of where we are today and kind of what our potential future could be. If you look at cloud point of sale, do you feel like that is something that brands should be really focusing on right now?
You know what? Obviously, the POS in my mind is always number one, but regardless if it's cloud based or backed up on your hard drive, I don't think that, especially with everything going on, is the number one concern that you do have to have. So I wouldn't say it's highly ranked, especially with everything going on. As long as you have a POS that's delivering you the right data, micro, macro numbers, or whatever you need, I don't think that's something you really have to focus too immensely on at the moment.
If you were to look at your marketing budgets and you say, hey, I want to go build my email list, my loyalty list, or my social media audience, where would you kind of rank those one, two, three?
To be honest with you, right now, it would probably be loyalties number one.
Okay.
I'd probably have to say email is number two, and I
Wow.
love social media.
Falls in. Wow,
Well,
that's
you know what it
amazing.
is? Yeah, the only reason I say social is because we have them captured. I think it's very easy to get the social media aspects, whereas the only reason I'm saying our loyalty and email is because we already have a hook on them. We already have
Right.
them in them, so we want to keep driving them. Whereas
Yeah.
you're going to start seeing your investment per person to come in is going to be highly when maybe they've never come in the door, and you're going to start adding more money onto your budget to try to get people who've either never heard of the brand, never stepped inside the brand, or never even seen your logo.
Right.
So I like to stay where the bread and butter is. We know where we have income coming, keep increasing that. If we can get them to come in, once, twice more a month or a week or whatever have you with those guests, I think that's a win. And then we can figure out how to drive in the new sales from our, digital members that on social that maybe have never been with us.
Yeah, well, acquisition cost is definitely right there with, because with the loyalty brand, you've already got them hooked into a certain level. You just need to figure out how to create a loyalty exchange that's going to work for both them and for you guys. An interesting response there. I'm glad to see that you guys are flexible like that. I always love to get kind of that feedback going into the future here with where technology is moving. All right, David, last question here for you. And that is, when you look at fast casual and the consumer trends that we are in right now, where do you think this is going in the future in terms of people coming back into fast casuals to dine in? Do you think we're going to see this in 2021, Q4 2020, or could this last for a while?
Yeah, there's no telling. And it also differs from region to region, state to state. I think we're looking at 2021 to be particularly honest with you. I think obviously us being in the fast sector, I think we have a leg up on full service, as I don't know when that's going to even be able to be a thought in people's minds. But I think, with fast service, we've been able to do a lot to accommodate. I know we've made certain spaces outside, need be, if we can do it, where, regionally it's allowed. So I'm thinking around 2021 is probably where I hope maybe everyone starts to really see how to adapt to this life and feel a little more comfortable. And I think that's what it is the comfortability of, our guests and our patrons coming in and knowing that they can do it. And, it's a matter of them coming in, and it's proven that we've taken all the steps with the sanitary measures and the shields and making sure everything's cleaned after every visit. So I think honestly, it's with the culture and everything, it's going to be around 2021 or so.
All right, very cool. How are you guys handling pickup right now? Is it I place an order on my app or on the web? Do I have to go and see a person, or is it through a bag delivery system? How does that work?
Yeah, so we actually, and luckily enough, we actually integrate, obviously, on the app. You can order, go online. We had a pickup, but we also had a curbside pickup that we were able to do, where you can put your phone number in there. We're still working on hopefully maybe getting some GPS integration in there so we know when they do actually pull up. But as of right now, we're focusing on, they give us a little bit of buzz when they get to the door. We go out, hand deliver the food. They also can make a memo of what type of car, what car license plate. But obviously that's only working if they're parking in the few spots in front of your door that you can see. So
if you're in one of those areas like a huge retail center, for sure.
Yeah,
we've talked about that on the show here. It's a big issue.
Oh, have you? Yeah, no, it's interesting, because you can be 3 blocks away, and I know a lot of our employees have had to do it where they're running 2 blocks. But they give us a quick buzz, and we're able to run the food.
Here's your Vitality Bowl.
Exactly. Yeah. It might look like we're chasing people down a little more than delivering food, but we're more than happy to do it.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do in today's world in the restaurant business to stay out there and stay active, for sure. David, it's been great having you on the show. Thanks so much for stopping in on the episode today. I can't wait to see what's up next for you guys.
Sure, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right. Okay. So all of you're listening in, maybe over on iTunes, maybe on Spotify. Give us a subscribe. That's what we need from you. And we also love to get your feedback. And also, if you want to reach out to us and give us maybe a home run hitter in your own city, your own state that you love and you think their executive should be right here on Fast Casual Nation, shoot an email to us to producer@foodabletv.com. You can always hit me up on Twitter @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time on the next episode of Fast Casual Nation.